Demands to the President of the United States. I am demanding that the civil rights of autistic people has to be recognized. I don't see any other way to do this. Civil rights isn't given when you ask for it. Civil rights has to be demanded. Civil rights are not supposed to be earned. The Constitution states that civil rights is guaranteed for everyone. When the United States government doesn't obey its own constitution by recognizing the civil rights of autistic people, then civil rights have to be demanded. Albert Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. I would like to revise this. Insanity is doing the worst possible thing that generates the worst possible results. The insane person is content and satisfied with getting the worst possible results. Then they keep on doing over and over again the worst possible thing that continues to get the worst possible results. It is hard to figure out what is going on inside of the head of an insane person. Does the insane person actually think they are doing the best possible thing that gets the best possible results, and so they continue to do the worst possible thing while they are under the delusion that they are getting the best possible results? The thing about an insane person is you don't know if they are sane or insane. You don't know if they are sane and intentionally intend to get the worst possible results, or if they are insane and actually think that they are doing the best possible thing that gets the best results. If they actually have intentions of purposely doing the worst possible thing, then that person is a psychopath, because they don't care how their actions are affecting other people. A psychotic person has superior acting abilities. A psychotic person puts on a very good act of acting sane. There needs to be an autism organization that is absolutely 100% about awareness of bullying and civil rights. Autism Speaks is not a civil rights organization. They ignore this subject completely. Autism Speaks is run by people that are not autistic. Those people don't give one single thought about bullying and civil rights. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech. Every minority that has ever been oppressed has gotten together as a group and protested for their rights. No one has ever done it for them. The only people who care about an oppressed minority is the oppressed minority themselves. It has been said that the First Amendment is not a guarantee to be heard. But in the case of autistic people, apparently what is needed is a guarantee to be heard. I don't know what it would take for autistic people to get together and protest. This is what has to happen for an oppressed minority to have their civil rights recognized. There is a group of people who are being oppressed. There are some characteristics of a communications disability that makes it difficult to protest. There should be no discrimination and oppression of a group of people with a disability, even if that disability makes it difficult for them to speak out about their rights. Due to the nature of the disabilities of autistic people, it is not enough to simply have the right to speak. There has to be a precedent set that would actually guarantee a group of people to be heard. Autistic people are capable of speaking, but are discriminated based on their disability, denial of their civil rights. There is a necessity for an amendment to the Constitution that would absolutely guarantee autistic people to be heard. Stop playing politics. You have to listen to autistic people because it is the right thing to do. You can't continue to listen to non-autistic people who claim to represent autistic people, who don't do anything to protect the civil rights of autistic people. Autism Speaks is an organization that profits off of children because of the way they market themselves to be an organization that claims to help children. The way to help children is to recognize that they will become adults and to address how autistic adults are bullied in society. There has to be awareness of the problem of bullying, and then this problem has to be eliminated. You have to listen to autistic people themselves. It should not be about going through a hierarchy in order to be allowed to report a civil rights problem to the president when every single other possible place to report civil rights violations has failed me. I can't find any existence of group services for autistic adults. This has to consist of a peer support group for autistic adults. Autistic people have to get together as a group to vocalize the absence of recognizing their civil rights. I can't find the existence of an autism organization whose mission is to focus 100% only on bullying, civil rights, and acceptance. For the past 12 years, I have asked the same questions over and over again, and I just keep getting the runaround. Nobody has the answers to the questions that I am asking. Everyone always says that it is somebody else's job. I have run into nothing but dead ends. I have run into so many dead ends trying to find a solution to this problem. I have run out of people to ask. There is no one left to ask, so I have to address my questions to the President of the United States. Autism Speaks claims to be helping children. They are doing so much damage compromising the civil rights of autistic people that it is making it so much harder for the autistic child to be able to live an independent life as an adult. Autism Speaks completely ignores the bullying autistic people face when they simply try to live and exist in this world. In the execution of their goal to raise money, they say that their mission is to fund biomedical research for a cure to autism. Awareness of bullying and acceptance and civil rights would be a conflict of interest that would compromise their fundraising efforts. Autism Speaks says they need money to cure autism. The only thing needed to stop bullying is common sense. Autism Speaks has no common sense. I don't want any autism organization lacking common sense to be representing autistic people. The people running Autism Speaks have a serious mental disorder. They are psychotic and they lack common sense. There has to be an autism organization that is absolutely 100% about bullying and civil rights. There has to be an autism organization that accepts autistic people just as they are before they can ever promote acceptance of autistic people. There is a major civil rights problem that is happening to autistic people. There is no one in public service that has the job of addressing this problem. When I can't find anyone to help me, you are the one I will be making my demands to. I am going to keep making my demands to the President until there exists a proper functioning resource that will help me with my civil rights. Where do autistic adults go? Why can't I find any services for autistic adults that actually has an existing group of autistic adults so that I could have a peer support group? I need for there to be an assembled group of autistics where we say in one united voice that we demand recognition of our civil rights. Autistic people are an oppressed minority. Every oppressed minority throughout history has assembled and protested for their situation to change. Every oppressed minority throughout history has protested for their civil rights. They made their voice heard. They demanded their civil rights, and they got their civil rights. Autistic people have a communication disability. There are characteristics of the disabilities of autism that have prevented autistic people to form a strong enough protest to be heard. There are autistic people who are clearly communicating. For the most part, it seems we are still being ignored. The First Amendment of the Constitution that guarantees freedom of speech is not a sufficient enough guarantee for autistic people and other people with communications disabilities to be heard when the time comes to voice such concerns. The First Amendment protects freedom of speech. It is not a guarantee to be heard. It has been established that people with physical disabilities have the right to live in an accessible world. Laws were passed to make public places accessible to people with physical disabilities. This world has to be accessible to people with communications disabilities. There has to be an amendment added to the Constitution to guarantee that autistic people will be heard. People that are autistic need to have handicapped access that is specific to their communication disability. There has to be an amendment to the Constitution that will actually guarantee that autistic people will be heard. The only way to have a civilized conversation about civil rights is if such an amendment exists. Until that happens, there is no other choice but to have to make demands to the President. I think I'm going to run out of time on the YouTube video. I have to stop.